Flamengo arrive in Tokyo with one night to turn Brazilian certainty into something the rest of football has to recognize. The title is world champion, the opponent is Liverpool, and there is no second leg, no return match, no later correction. Everything has to be settled here, on neutral ground, inside a ceremony designed to make one result travel farther than either club usually does. Even before the football begins, the occasion asks both clubs to step into a slightly artificial frame. This is not a home crowd carrying one side forward, or a two-legged contest slowly defining itself. It is a neutral stage, a fixed ceremony, a title meant to be understood immediately. That makes the match feel both larger and narrower at once. Larger in label, narrower in margin for error. Liverpool arrive with the more familiar international name, European champions, already readable to audiences far beyond England. Flamengo do not carry that same recognition outside Brazil. Many watching abroad know little beyond the fact that they have won South America. Inside Brazil, the scale is different. Flamengo arrive with the weight of a team that already feels enormous to its own public. Now that certainty has to travel. The game starts, and almost immediately Flamengo are passing through Liverpool's midfield, not forcing it, not rushing. The distance from Rio to Tokyo does not seem to have touched their rhythm. The ball moves cleanly. Players keep appearing at the right angle, and the middle of the pitch starts to open for them. The surprise is not effort or emotion, it is how normal they make it look. That is what gives the night its first shock. A final like this can tighten very quickly. A single match title can turn into caution, long balls, second touches taken badly, players hiding inside the occasion. Flamengo do not start that way. They take the ball and keep giving it shape. Liverpool are not just being pushed back, they are being moved around, asked to follow runs and passes that do not stay still long enough. Then the score moves, quickly. 1-0, then 2-0, then 3-0. The speed of that sequence matters. It changes the emotional balance of the match before Liverpool can reset it on their own terms. But it does not feel like a game spinning loose. The lead grows while Flamengo still look composed, which makes the scoreline harder to dismiss as a strange turn of a one-off final. The shock is not only in the number, it is in the clarity of the football that gets them there. This is not a strange night built from loose moments or panic. Flamengo looks settled inside the game. The passes have timing. The attacks arrive with order. Each sequence makes Liverpool defend one more action than they want to defend. For people seeing Flamengo up close for the first time, that is where the match changes, not just because the South American side is ahead, but because they do not look like they are borrowing the night. That difference matters to memory. Some victories are stored as resistance. Some survive as narrow escapes. Tokyo is remembered another way. Flamengo controlled the match early, shaped it, and left with a result that felt clean. The score mattered, but what stayed was the authority of the performance. For supporters, that kind of memory holds differently from simple celebration. A comeback can become legend through tension. A narrow win can live through nerves. Tokyo stays bright because it leaves behind something more stable, not just joy, but certainty. The match does not need much repair in recollection. It already arrives in memory with its shape intact. The format does the next piece of the work. A single match decides the title of world champion, which means recognition is compressed into one result. There is no second leg to complicate the picture, no longer competition to dilute it, no margin for revision. One night produces a winner, a loser, a scoreline, and a claim that can travel intact. The stakes do not ease just because the score does. The title attached to the match is too large for that. Every passage of play still carries risk. One bad clearance, one loose touch, one goal back, and the whole temperature can change. But Flamengo keep returning the game to the same place. The ball under control, the midfield connected, Liverpool having to react again. For Flamengo supporters, that control is part of why the match stays so alive. Tokyo gave them more than a trophy image. It gave them a version of the team that felt complete, calm in possession, clear in midfield, decisive in front of goal. People remembered the football itself, not just the outcome. And that memory carries extra force because international recognition is not evenly distributed before kickoff. Liverpool arrive with a reputation already in place. Flamengo do not. Their domestic scale does not automatically cross borders with them. So the match is not only about winning a trophy, it is also about passing through a gate of visibility that Brazilian clubs cannot fully control on their own. Tokyo helps do that work. It is not just where the final happens, it is where the event is packaged for circulation. Neutral ground, ceremonial presentation, continental champions, one decisive scoreline, the whole setting turns the match into something the football world can file quickly and remember easily. The title is designed to travel. That helps explain why the place name endures so strongly. Tokyo does not remain only the location of a final in Japan. For Flamengo, it becomes shorthand. The city name starts carrying the whole compressed bundle with it: distance, title, performance, recognition, result. The match leaves behind not just footage and photographs, but a word supporters can say and immediately fill with football. But none of that would last on its own without the football holding up under it. The players doing this are not scattered exports brought back together for a special occasion. They come out of the Brazilian game and still belong to it. On the night, that is not an argument or a slogan. It is simply what the team is. Familiar to its supporters, intact in its combinations, carrying its football with it rather than adjusting into something safer for foreign approval. That gives the match a second layer of force. Outside Brazil, Flamengo are not yet a club with automatic global weight. Inside Brazil, that weight already exists. Tokyo brings those two realities into contact. The win feels like a public adjustment of scale. A team many abroad barely know does not simply appear and win a final. It makes its level visible against opposition whose reputation is already established. The timing sharpens that feeling. Flamengo arrive in Japan at the end of a crowded run of decisive matches, with domestic, continental, and international demands pressed close together. And the team that reaches Tokyo still has continuity. It is built from players who remain inside Brazilian football, before the European market pulls South American talent away at the scale it soon will. The side that appears on the world stage is not a reduced version of itself. That compression of time matters because each title asks for a slightly different kind of proof. A team can dominate close to home and still have to prove itself again across a continent. It can win South America and still arrive in Tokyo needing to show that its football travels. Flamengo do not get to separate those tests cleanly. They carry one into the next, and the performance in Japan gains force from arriving at the end of that sequence without looking worn down into caution. So the match holds several pressures at once. The obvious one is on the scoreboard. Another is in recognition. Another is in timing. How much can be carried into 1 month, 1 trip, 1 night? Flamengo do not answer those pressures with spectacle or survival. They answer them by making the game settle around their rhythm. That is why very little in the event needs repair afterward. The opponent is strong, the title is clear, the score is emphatic, and the football matches the occasion. Some victories survive mainly through retelling. Tokyo survives because the match itself remains convincing. By the end, the stadium no longer feels neutral. It feels occupied by the result, by the way the match has unfolded, by the sense that a conviction carried from Brazil has survived the trip without changing form. Flamengo 1981 lasts as a benchmark because several things met at once. A format that could turn one result into worldwide recognition, a stage built for circulation, and a Brazilian club strong enough to arrive there intact. The memory holds because the football is strong enough to hold it.